Commander Zixara stared at the small escape pod floating in space through the main screen of her ship. The metal capsule spun slowly, its emergency lights blinking red against the darkness of space. Her second officer, Thektar, stood beside her chair and made a sound of disgust. "Another human refugee," Thektar said. His voice carried the same tone he used when talking about garbage. "We should leave it. We have more important things to do." Zixara's 4 eyes narrowed as she looked at the pod. The Velthari Empire had signed the Galactic Council's Refugee Protection Protocol. The law was clear. Any survivor found in space had to be rescued and given safety, even if that survivor was human. "Check for life signs," she ordered. The sensor officer turned from his station. "One human male inside. He is unconscious but alive." Zixara closed her eyes and let out a long breath. Her ship, the Silent Talon, was heading into dangerous space. The Kreth hegemony had been attacking supply ships in this area for weeks. The last thing she needed was a weak human slowing them down. "Bring him aboard," she said finally, "but put him in the lower cargo bay. I do not want him wandering around my ship." 20 minutes later, Zixara looked down at the human lying on a medical bed in the cargo bay. He was smaller than she expected. Most aliens in the galaxy were larger than humans. The man had dark hair and pale skin. His clothes were torn and dirty. The medical scanner showed he was hurt but would live. Dr. Velnoth, the ship's doctor, stood over the human with tools in his many hands. "He has several broken ribs and a head injury. Nothing serious. He should wake up soon." "What happened to his ship?" Zixara asked. "From the pod's data logs, it looks like a Kreth attack," the doctor said. "His colony ship was destroyed. He was the only survivor." Zixara felt a moment of sympathy, then pushed it away. Humans were new to space travel. They had only learned to travel faster than light 50 years ago. Most species in the galaxy thought humans were weak and foolish. They built their colonies too far from help and could not protect themselves properly. The human's eyes opened slowly. He looked around the cargo bay with confusion. When his eyes met Zixara's, he tried to sit up quickly and fell back down with a groan of pain. "Stay still," Dr. Velnoth said. The ship's universal translator turned his words into sounds the human could understand. The human spoke, but his words came out wrong. The translator was having trouble with his language. After a few tries, they could understand him. Where am I?" the human asked. His voice was weak. "You are on my ship," Zixara said. "I am Commander Zixara of the Velthari Empire. We found you in an escape pod. What is your name?" "Marcus," the human said. "Marcus Chen. My ship. The Colony Pride." "Is it?" "Marcus. RK. Gone," Zixara said simply. "You were the only survivor." Marcus closed his eyes and was quiet for a long time. When he opened them again, there were tears running down his face. Zixara looked away. She did not want to see the human's weakness. "What happens to me now?" Marcus asked. "You will stay on my ship until we reach a safe port," Zixara said. "There. You can find transport back to human space." That was 3 weeks ago. Now Marcus lived in a small room near the cargo bay. Zixara had given him simple jobs to keep him busy. He cleaned floors, helped in the kitchen, and sorted supplies. Her crew made jokes about the soft human who could not do real work. Marcus never complained. He did his jobs without talking much and spent his free time in the ship's computer library. Zixara sometimes saw him reading files about galactic history and military records. She thought it was strange, but she did not care what he did as long as he stayed out of the way. The human was quiet and polite. He said thank you and please more than any alien Zixara had ever met. Her crew found this amusing. Strong species in the galaxy did not waste time with such words. "The human asked me about our weapons systems today," Thektar reported during their evening meeting. "I told him such information was not for civilian refugees." "Good," Zixara said. "Keep him away from important areas of the ship." But sometimes, Zixara caught Marcus watching the crew work. His eyes were always moving, studying everything around him. It made her uncomfortable, though she could not say why. The Silent Talon was now deep in contested space. This area was claimed by both the Velthari Empire and the Kreth hegemony. Both sides sent ships here to patrol and protect their interests. Fights happened often. The Kreth were savage warriors. They attacked in groups like wild animals. Their ships were fast and deadly. They showed no mercy to anyone they captured. Zixara's mission was to escort 3 cargo ships safely through this dangerous area. "Commander," the communication officer called out. "We are getting a message from the cargo ship Bright Star. They are reporting engine problems." Zixara moved to her command chair. "How long until they can fix it?" 6 hours. Maybe more." Zixara cursed under her breath. Staying in one place for 6 hours was dangerous. The Kreth had scouts everywhere. If they found the small convoy, there would be a fight. "Take us to defensive position around the convoy," she ordered. "All weapons ready. Send word to the other escort ships to form a protection circle." As the crew worked to follow her orders, Zixara noticed Marcus standing near the back of the bridge. He was not supposed to be there, but she was too busy to send him away. Marcus watched everything with those strange human eyes. He said nothing, but Zixara could tell he was thinking about what he saw. She wondered what a primitive human could possibly understand about real space combat. She was about to find out. The attack came 2 hours later. "Kreth ships coming out of jump space," the sensor officer shouted. 12 vessels moving fast toward us." Zixara jumped to her feet. Through the main screen, she could see the Kreth ships appearing like dark shadows against the stars. They moved in a tight pack formation that made them hard to target. "All ships, battle positions," she ordered into her communication device. "Protect the cargo vessels." The bridge became busy with activity. Crew members ran to their stations and began preparing weapons. The ship's lights changed from white to red, meaning they were now in combat mode. Marcus still stood at the back of the bridge. In all the excitement, everyone had forgotten about him. He watched the enemy ships move across the screen with great interest. "Why do they fly so close together?" Marcus asked quietly. Thektar heard him and laughed. "Because they are animals, human. They think like a pack of wild beasts." Marcus nodded but continued watching. "Their lead ship is smaller than the others. Is that normal?" "Silence," Zixara snapped. "This is not time for questions." The first Kreth ship opened fire. Bright energy beams shot across space toward the cargo ship Bright Star. The Velthari escort ships moved quickly to block the attack. Their shields lit up as the enemy weapons hit them. "Return fire," Zixara ordered. The Silent Talon's heavy guns spoke with thunder. Blue energy bolts flew toward the Kreth ships. But the enemy vessels were too fast. They moved apart and came at the convoy from different directions. "They are trying to split our formation," the tactical officer reported. Zixara watched the battle develop on her screen. The Kreth were good at this kind of fighting. They used speed and confusion to break up enemy formations. Once the defenders were scattered, the Kreth would attack the weakest targets. "Keep our ships together," she commanded. "Do not let them separate us." But it was too late. 3 Kreth ships had already moved around the convoy's left side. They were heading straight for the cargo ship Golden Wind. The Velthari ship protecting that side turned to face them, but this left a gap in their defense. "Commander," Marcus said from behind her. "If you move the Silent Talon 20 degrees to port and the escort ship Thunder moves 30 degrees to starboard, you can create a crossfire zone that—" "I did not ask for your opinion," Zixara said without turning around. But even as she spoke, she could see that Marcus was right. The position he described would trap the attacking Kreth ships between 2 sets of guns. She quickly gave the orders. The maneuver worked perfectly. The Kreth ships flew right into the trap. Heavy fire from both Velthari vessels destroyed 2 enemy ships and damaged a third. Marcus continued watching the battle. "The small ship in the back is not a fighter," he said. "Look at its shape. It carries troops for boarding attacks." Zixara looked where he pointed. The ship did look different from the others. Its hull was wider and had several small openings along the sides. Boarding pods, she realized. All ships, watch for boarding attempts. Her warning came just in time. The Kreeth ship launched 6 small pods toward the nearest cargo vessel. The pods were fast and hard to hit. 3 of them reached the cargo ship and attached to its hull like metal parasites. Bright Star is reporting boarders, the communication officer said. They are requesting help. Zixara felt her heart sink. Sending soldiers to help would weaken her own ship's defenses. But she could not let the cargo ship fall to the Kreeth. Prepare a boarding team, she ordered. 10 soldiers, full combat gear. Commander, Marcus said. May I make another suggestion? Zixara turned to look at him. The human's face was calm, but his eyes were bright with interest. What? Send your boarding team to the cargo ship, but first use concentrated fire on the area where the pods attached. The metal around the attachment points will be weakened. A few direct hits will breach the hull and expose the boarding tunnels to space. It was a brutal tactic. Any Kreeth soldiers in the tunnels would be sucked out into space. But it would also save the lives of her own people. Do it, Zixara ordered. The plan worked. The Silent Talon's guns punched holes in the cargo ship's hull, right where the boarding pods connected. Emergency systems sealed the breaches, but not before dozens of Kreeth warriors were lost to space. The battle continued for 20 more minutes. The Kreeth fought hard, but they had lost too many ships to continue. The surviving enemy vessels retreated into jump space, leaving the convoy alone. Damage report, Zixara called out. Minor hull damage to 3 ships, the tactical officer replied. No casualties among our people. Zixara allowed herself to feel relief. They had won. But something was bothering her. She turned to look at Marcus. How did you know about their tactics? She asked. Marcus shrugged. I watched how they moved. Patterns are easy to see if you look for them. And the boarding tunnel tactic? Basic engineering, Marcus said. Weak points are always where 2 different structures meet. Zixara stared at him. The human talked about battle tactics and military engineering like they were simple things. But she had been fighting for 20 years and had not seen the patterns he spotted so quickly. Where did you learn such things? She asked. Everyone learns basic military thinking where I come from, Marcus said. Earth is not a safe place. We have to understand how to fight, or we do not survive. Thektar made a sound of disbelief. Humans are peaceful farmers and traders. Everyone knows this. Marcus looked at him with something that might have been amusement. We are farmers and traders, he agreed. We are also soldiers when we need to be. Over the next few days, Zixara found herself thinking about Marcus more often. The human continued doing his simple jobs around the ship, but now, she noticed things she had missed before. Marcus moved differently than other humans she had seen. His steps were quiet and careful. His eyes constantly checked the areas around him. When he worked, his hands were steady and sure. Most importantly, he asked questions. Not stupid questions, but smart ones about how the ship worked and why things were done certain ways. He learned fast and remembered everything. Zixara began to wonder what other things the galaxy had gotten wrong about humans. She was about to find out much more. Word spread quickly through the ship about how the human had helped win the battle. Some crew members looked at Marcus with new interest. Others thought it was just luck. Zixara decided to test him. The next morning, she called Marcus to the bridge during the daily tactical meeting. Since you seem to understand combat, she said, perhaps you would like to share your thoughts on our current mission. The bridge crew turned to look at Marcus. Some faces showed curiosity. Others showed doubt that a primitive human could contribute anything useful. Marcus studied the star map displayed on the main screen. It showed their route through Kreeth space and the locations of several reported enemy patrols. Your current path takes you through 3 possible ambush points, Marcus said after a moment. Here, here, and here. He pointed to areas where asteroids or small moons could hide enemy ships. Those are the obvious danger zones, Thektar said with a dismissive gesture. Any military officer would see them. Yes, Marcus agreed. That is why the Kreeth will not use them. They will expect you to be ready for attacks in those places. He pointed to what looked like empty space between two systems. This area looks safe, but it is actually the best place for an ambush. Your ships will be spread out in travel formation. You will not be expecting trouble. And if the Kreeth attack here, you will be too far from help. Zixara looked at the area Marcus had identified. He was right. It was the perfect place for an ambush, exactly because it looked so safe. What do you suggest? She asked. Change your formation before you reach this area, Marcus said. Move your escort ships closer to the cargo vessels. Have weapons ready but not obviously powered up. Make it look like you suspect nothing. But be prepared to fight. The tactical officer frowned. That formation is not in our standard combat manual. Your standard manual was written to fight other civilized armies, Marcus said. The Kreeth are raiders. They think differently. You need to think like they do. 9. Treeth Piece 4. Tin 7 Potable. Number 4-4. Number 4-4. 10-7 Potable. 10-7 Potable. 10-7 Potable. Zixara made the decision to follow Marcus's advice. When they reached the area he had marked, she ordered the formation change. Her crew grumbled about taking orders from a human, but they obeyed. 6 hours later, the Kreeth attacked exactly where Marcus said they would, but this time, the Velthari were ready. The tight formation allowed them to concentrate their firepower. The enemy ships, expecting to catch scattered and surprised targets, instead flew into a prepared killing zone. The battle was over in 10 minutes. 8 Kreeth ships destroyed. 0 Velthari losses. After the battle, Zixara found Marcus in the ship's library. He was reading files about different alien military tactics and ship designs. How did you know? She asked. Marcus looked up from his reading. Patterns, he said simply. The Kreeth always attack the same way because it usually works. They are like, what is your word? Wolves. Pack hunters. They look for weak prey that is separated from the group. And you learn to think this way on Earth? Marcus nodded. Humans have been fighting each other for thousands of years. We have tried every possible way to kill each other. We learned to recognize patterns in war because those who could not recognize them died. Zixara felt a chill run down her spine. She had thought humans were peaceful because they rarely fought other species, but Marcus was telling her they were peaceful with others because they had already fought themselves so much that they understood war perfectly. The next week brought more challenges. A Kreeth fleet attacked a mining station in the Kepler system. The station's defenses were weak, and the regular Velthari relief force was 3 days away. We should assist, Marcus said during the emergency briefing. But not with a direct attack. Explain, Zixara ordered. Marcus moved to the tactical display. The Kreeth have surrounded the station with their ships. If you attack directly, they will destroy the station before you can save it. But look at their formation. He pointed to the enemy ships arranged in a circle around the mining station. They have made themselves into a trap. But the trap works both ways. If you can get inside their circle, they cannot use their heavy weapons without risking hitting each other. How do we get inside? The tactical officer asked. Marcus smiled, and for the first time, Zixara saw something dangerous in that smile. We do not try to break through their formation. We go under it. He explained his plan. The Silent Talon and 2 escort ships would approach from below the system's plane. They would use the mining station's own metal as cover, hiding among the floating ore processors until they were close enough to strike. It is insane, Thektar said. Flying that close to industrial equipment, we could be crushed or caught in the mining beams. Yes, Marcus agreed. That is why the Kreeth will not expect it. Sometimes the crazy plan is the right plan, because no sane person would try it. Zixara looked at her crew. She could see doubt and fear on their faces, but she had learned to trust Marcus's military thinking. We follow the humans' plan, she decided. The approach took 4 hours. The 3 Velthari ships crept through the mining field like shadows, using the massive ore processors to hide from enemy sensors. Marcus guided them personally, pointing out safe paths between the dangerous machinery. When they finally reached attack position, they were less than 5,000 kilometers from the Kreeth fleet. At this range, their weapons could not miss. The attack was devastating. 3 Kreeth ships died in the first volley before the enemy even knew they were there. The others tried to turn to face the new threat, but they were packed too tightly together. Ships collided as they tried to maneuver. In 15 minutes, the Kreeth fleet was destroyed. The mining station was saved. As the crew celebrated their victory, Zixara watched Marcus. The human did not celebrate. He studied the tactical readouts with the focused attention of a professional soldier, analyzing what went right and what could be improved. "You are not just a colonist," she said to him quietly. Marcus looked at her with those calm human eyes. "No," he admitted. "I was a military advisor studying galactic defense systems. My job was to learn how other species fight so Earth could defend itself better." "And what have you learned?" "That everyone in this galaxy fights the same way," Marcus said. "Honorable. Predictable. Safe. You follow rules and traditions that make war into a gentleman's game. And humans do not." Marcus shook his head. "Humans fight to win. We use every advantage we can find. We break rules that get in the way of victory. We study our enemies until we understand them better than they understand themselves." Zixara felt that chill again. "What else can you teach us?" "Everything," Marcus said simply. "If you want to learn." Looking around her bridge at the crew who had just won an impossible victory, Zixara realized she did want to learn. The galaxy was a dangerous place, and the humans seemed to understand danger better than anyone else. She just hoped she was ready for what that knowledge would cost. The message came during the ship's night cycle, when most of the crew was sleeping. Zixara was awakened by urgent communication signals from Fleet Command. "Commander," the voice of Admiral Kethvar filled her quarters. "We have a crisis. The Kreeth have launched their largest offensive in 50 years. They are attacking 3 star systems at once, with over 200 ships." Zixara sat up in bed, fully awake now. "What are your orders, Admiral?" "All available vessels are being called to defend the Altair system. It has the largest civilian population. We estimate 47 Velthari ships will be available for the battle. Against 200 Kreeth vessels?" Zixara could not hide her shock. "The other systems will have to be abandoned," the Admiral said. "We cannot defend everywhere. Save what we can save." When the communication ended, Zixara sat in darkness, thinking about the impossible task ahead. 47 ships against 200. Even with superior technology, the odds were hopeless. The Kreeth would overwhelm them through sheer numbers. She made her way to the bridge and called an emergency meeting of all senior officers. When they assembled, she shared the Admiral's message. "It is hopeless," Thektar said after she finished. "We should retreat to defended space and wait for reinforcements." "And abandon millions of civilians?" the weapons officer asked. "Better than losing our ships in a battle we cannot win," Thektar replied. As her officers argued, Zixara noticed Marcus standing quietly in the corner. She had started bringing him to all tactical meetings after his success at the mining station. Now she wondered what he thought of their situation. "Marcus," she called out, "you have been quiet. What is your opinion?" Marcus stepped forward and looked at the star charts showing the 3 systems under attack. "The Admiral is thinking about this wrong," he said. "Explain," Zixara ordered. "He is trying to fight 3 separate battles," Marcus said. "But this is really one big battle happening in 3 places. The Kreeth are dividing their forces too. Instead of trying to defend everything, you should attack their weakness." Thektar made a sound of disgust. "What weakness? They have 200 ships." Marcus smiled that dangerous smile again. "That is their weakness. 200 ships need supplies, fuel, and coordination. The bigger an army gets, the more problems it has." He moved to the tactical display and began pointing to different locations. "Look at their attack pattern. They are hitting these 3 systems in a specific order. First Altair, then Vega, then Centauri. They are not just raiding. They are conquering territory." "So?" the weapons officer asked. "So they have supply lines," Marcus explained, "and supply lines can be cut." For the next hour, Marcus explained a concept he called strategic warfare. Instead of meeting the enemy's strength with their own strength, The Velthari should attack what the enemy needed to continue fighting. Hit their fuel depots, Marcus said. Destroy their supply convoys. Attack their communication relays. Make it impossible for them to coordinate their forces. And while we are chasing supply ships, their main fleet destroys 3 star systems, Thektar pointed out. No, Marcus said patiently. While we are cutting their supplies, their main fleet becomes desperate. They have to choose between continuing their attack or protecting their supply lines. Either choice weakens them. Zixara studied the plan Marcus was proposing. It was unlike anything in Velthari military doctrine. Instead of honorable ship-to-ship combat, he wanted them to strike at non-combat targets behind enemy lines. This is not how civilized species fight wars, she said. No, Marcus agreed. This is how wars are won. Zixara made her decision. We will try the humans' plan. Over the next 12 hours, Marcus transformed the Velthari battle plan completely. Instead of gathering all ships to defend one system, he spread them out in small groups. Each group had a specific mission. Hit supply depots. Destroy fuel tankers. Capture communication stations. Or attack isolated enemy squadrons. But the real change was in how he taught the crews to think about fighting. Marcus introduced concepts that had no equivalent in galactic military thinking. Combined arms, he called it, when different types of ships worked together in new ways. Fast scouts would find targets, heavy cruisers would attack them, and support ships would prevent enemy reinforcements from arriving. He taught them about force multiplication, where small advantages could be made much larger through proper coordination. A single ship could defeat 3 enemies if it chose the right time and place for battle. Most importantly, he taught them about tempo. This was the idea that controlling the speed of battle was more important than controlling space. The side that could act faster would always have an advantage. Make them react to you, Marcus explained to a group of ship commanders. Do not react to them. Keep them always one step behind, always responding to your last move while you are already making the next one. The battle began 2 days later. The Kreth fleet moved against Altair system as expected, but they found no defending ships waiting for them. Instead, they received word that their main supply depot in the Rigel system was under attack. Admiral Kethvar contacted Zixara during the first day of fighting. Commander, what are you doing? Why are you not defending Altair? We are defending all 3 systems, Zixara replied, by making it impossible for the Kreth to attack any of them effectively. As she spoke, reports came in from across the battle zone. Velthari strike teams had hit 17 supply convoys, destroyed 4 fuel depots, and captured the main Kreth communication relay. The enemy fleet was still powerful, but it was becoming blind and hungry. The Kreth responded exactly as Marcus predicted. They split their forces, sending ships to protect their supply lines. This made their attack on Altair weaker and created opportunities for the Velthari to strike. Now we attack their divided forces, Marcus said. Hit them when they are separated and confused. The battle that followed was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Velthari ships appeared and disappeared like ghosts, striking hard and fast before the enemy could respond. They used the Kreth's own size against them, attacking from directions the large fleet could not defend. Marcus coordinated the battle from the Silent Talon, speaking to commanders across dozens of ships. He moved the Velthari fleet, like a musician conducting an orchestra, each section playing its part in perfect harmony. Strike Force 3. Hit the enemy supply group in Sector 7, he would say. Strike Force 1. Prepare to support Force 3 when the enemy sends reinforcements. All other units. Continue pressure on their main fleet. Zixara watched in amazement as Marcus kept track of hundreds of ships across 3 star systems. He seemed to know where every vessel was and what it was doing at all times. More importantly, he could predict what would happen next. The Kreth commander will try to reunite his forces, Marcus said during the second day of fighting. He will order all ships to fall back to this position. He marked a spot on the star chart. How can you know this? Zixara asked. Because it is what I would do, Marcus replied. It is the logical move. But we will be waiting for him there. When the Kreth fleet tried to regroup exactly where Marcus said they would, They found 40 Velthari ships in perfect formation waiting for them. The trap was devastating. 50 enemy vessels were destroyed in the first hour of fighting. The battle ended on the third day when the remaining Kreth ships retreated in disorder. They left behind their dead and abandoned their supply bases. The great offensive that was supposed to conquer 3 star systems had become a complete disaster. As victory reports came in from across the battle zone, Zixara looked at Marcus with new understanding. The quiet human who had started as a burden on her ship had just revolutionized galactic warfare. "You did not just help us win a battle," she said to him. "You changed how war itself is fought." Marcus nodded slowly. "War is about more than ships and weapons," he said. "It is about thinking faster and better than your enemy." Humans learned this lesson long ago. Looking around her bridge at the crew who had just achieved the impossible, Zixara realized that first contact with humanity was going to change everything in the galaxy, and she was not sure if that was good or terrifying. 3 weeks after the Great Battle, representatives from 12 different species arrived at the Velthari fleet base. They all wanted to meet the human who had defeated 200 Kreth ships with less than 50 vessels. Zixara watched from her office window as transport after transport landed in the base's docking bays. Generals, admirals, political leaders, and military scientists all came seeking the same thing: to understand how Marcus had achieved the impossible. Marcus himself seemed uncomfortable with all the attention. He spent most of his time in the base's library, reading about different species' military histories and technological capabilities. When forced to attend meetings, he answered questions politely, but revealed little about human military thinking. "He is holding back," Thektar observed during one of these meetings. "The human knows more than he is sharing." Zixara had noticed the same thing. Marcus would give tactical advice that was brilliant but limited. He would share concepts like combined arms and force multiplication, but she sensed these were just the beginning of human military knowledge. That evening, she found Marcus alone in the base's observation deck, looking out at the stars. She joined him at the large window. "You are troubled," she said. Marcus nodded without looking away from the stars. "Word of what happened here will reach Earth soon. My people will know that their military secrets are no longer secret." "Is that bad?" "Maybe," Marcus said. "Humans have a saying. When you are the only one with a sword, everyone wants to be your friend. When everyone has swords, everyone wants to test them." Zixara thought about this. "You think other species will see humans as a threat now?" "Some will," Marcus said. "Others will want to hire us as soldiers. Others will try to conquer us before we become too powerful. First contact is never simple." They stood in silence for several minutes, watching ships move between the stars in the distance. Finally, Zixara asked the question that had been bothering her for weeks. "Who are you really, Marcus Chen?" Marcus was quiet for so long that Zixara thought he would not answer. Then he spoke softly. "My full name is Major Marcus Chen, Strategic Warfare Division, Earth Defense Force. My mission was to study galactic military capabilities and find ways to defend Earth against potential threats." "You are a spy," Zixara said, but without anger. "I am a soldier," Marcus corrected. "Sent to learn how the galaxy fights, so my people could survive if someone decided to attack us." "And what did you learn?" Marcus turned to face her for the first time since she had joined him. "That humans have been preparing for the wrong kind of war." He moved to the window and pointed out at the galaxy spread before them. "Every species out here fights the same way. Honor, tradition, rules that make war predictable and limited. You fight like knights having formal duels. And humans? Humans fight like survivors," Marcus said simply. "We use every advantage, break every rule, and do whatever it takes to win. We learned to fight this way because on Earth, losing meant death." Marcus told her about Earth's history. Thousands of years of constant warfare between human tribes and nations. Conflicts where entire civilizations were destroyed, and the survivors had to build new ones from the ruins. "We had to become good at war," he explained. "The humans who were not good at it died. Their children died. Their entire cultures disappeared. Only the ones who could fight and win survived to become our ancestors." "That sounds terrible," Zixara said. "It was," Marcus agreed. But it taught us lessons that no other species has learned. How to fight when you are outnumbered. How to win when you are outgunned. How to turn your enemy's strengths into weaknesses. And now you will teach these lessons to the galaxy? Marcus was quiet again for a long time. That depends, he said finally, on whether the galaxy is ready to learn them. The next morning brought news that changed everything. A Kreth fleet 3 times larger than the previous one was gathering in the outer systems. They had allied with 2 other aggressive species, and were preparing for a revenge attack that would target civilian populations directly. The Galactic Council was in panic. No fleet in known space could stand against such numbers. Evacuation of the threatened systems was impossible in the time available. "We need the humans' help," Admiral Kethvar told Zixara during an emergency meeting. "Ask him to plan our defense." But when Zixara brought the request to Marcus, he surprised her by saying no. "I will not plan a defense," he said. "Defense will not work against those numbers." "Then what do you suggest?" "I will plan an attack," Marcus said. "But first, I need something from you." "What?" "Permission to teach your people everything I know about human warfare. Not just tactics and strategy, but the complete human way of fighting." Zixara felt that familiar chill. Everything? Psychological warfare. Economic warfare. Information warfare. Technologies and techniques that your species have never imagined. Ways of fighting that will change your people permanently. "Why do you need this?" Marcus looked at her with those calm, dangerous eyes. "Because what is coming is not just a battle or even a war. It is a test to see if this galaxy can survive when truly challenged. To pass that test, you need to become something more than what you are." Zixara thought about the choice Marcus was offering her. Keep fighting the civilized, limited wars that the galaxy was used to, and probably lose everything to enemies who were willing to be more brutal, or learn to fight like humans and win, but become something different in the process. "If we agree," she said, "what happens to the galaxy afterward?" "Ordlufly. It becomes safer," Marcus said. "No species will dare start wars when they know their enemies might fight back with human methods, but it also becomes more dangerous, because the knowledge of how to fight those wars will spread." The decision was made that afternoon. The Galactic Council voted to give Marcus complete authority over the defense planning and to allow him to teach human military doctrine to any species willing to learn. Marcus accepted the responsibility with the same calm he showed in battle. Within hours, he was working with representatives from dozens of species, sharing knowledge that had taken humanity thousands of years to develop. Zixara watched him work and realized what she was seeing. This was not just one human sharing military secrets. This was first contact between human civilization and galactic civilization, happening through the medium of warfare. The coming battle would determine not just whether the threatened system survived, but what kind of galaxy would exist afterward. A galaxy where wars were fought according to ancient traditions and honor codes, or a galaxy where every conflict would be total warfare, using every advantage available. As she watched Marcus explain concepts like strategic deception and total war economics to alien generals, Zixara understood that she had witnessed the beginning of something much larger than she had imagined. She had taken a human aboard her ship as an unwanted obligation. But in doing so, she had brought together 2 very different approaches to conflict and survival. The result was going to transform not just how wars were fought, but how peace was maintained. Looking at Marcus as he calmly planned the destruction of enemies who threatened civilian populations, Zixara finally understood what humans truly were. Not primitive newcomers to the galaxy, but survivors of the most brutal military academy in known space. A planet where only the strongest, smartest, and most adaptable warriors had lived long enough to reach for the stars. The galaxy was about to learn what it meant to fight humans. Zixara hoped it was ready for the lesson.